Okay, everybody, property taxes are going away potentially. One side is screaming that the world is coming to an end and public safety is at risk and that we should all run for our lives, which is, of course, par for the course, the most dramatic response is humanly possible to any time that perhaps revising the systems that are most detrimental to fixed income senior citizens and the low income populations, that might be a bad idea, which is, of course, bizarre reaction to me. If you don't know anything about me, my name is Joshua Wolstall. I am currently a county-wide commissioner here in Hillsborough County, Florida. As a local elected official, oddly, I represent more people than 11 governors of their entire states with 2 legislative aides. We can get into that debate another day on whether or not that's proper presentation. For this video, I will stick to the ending potential, or at least rebate system of property taxes, which I have been advocating for over half of a decade. They're inescapable. They are the most detrimental, of course, as I just said, to fixed income senior citizens and the low income populations. While the higher income residents feel the sting the most out of their property taxes, the low income ones and fixed income ones are the ones that feel the weight of it permanently on their back, and arguably, since they can't escape it, might have to end up on more government subsidies because they can no longer afford to pay their inescapable property taxes. There is actually already one example and system in place in the state of Florida that is such a model of replacing and revamping and subsidizing property taxes with sales taxes. And I'm going to show you that real quick. And I'm going to show you how you can look into your own county's property tax subsidies and what that might look like for you. It's quite easy. I've already been rambling for 2 minutes, and I want to make this video as concise as possible. So I won't get into any of the debates of whether or not it's good or bad. Actually, I should probably edit that out because that's exactly what I'm doing, because I think that it's a good idea. So right in front of me, as you see, is our 2025 Hillsborough County adopted budget, and I'm going to be looking away here to go through it on my monitor. Okay, welcome back. As I mentioned, I have the budget pulled up now. I've gone down to the page that covers all of the county's revenues by source, and all that we care about is ad valorem taxes, which is simply your property taxes. Again, property taxes are paid 100% by the local business owners and residents, and they are inescapable. A surtax, a sales tax, is subsidized, at least projected in Hillsborough County, to the tune of 20 to 30% by all of our visitors into the county and all of the amenities that we have. So keep that in mind as we go through this. And I'm going to try and go through this as quick as possible to make this video as concise as possible. So let's go. Hillsborough County government, only the government, not the schools, not the cities. This is for the unincorporated and for the county-wides. That's our 2 versions of property taxes. County-wides cover all of your constitutionals, property tax appraiser, tax collector, not her, but just tax collecting, the sheriff, right? So those constitutionals, the supervisor of election. Okay. That money per year is $1.5 billion. Gross, I know, makes me physically nauseous just thinking about that many zeros. $1.5 billion a year in property taxes is what Hillsborough County government takes for all of our approved local taxes, environmental land protection, libraries, MSTU, Municipal Services Taxing Unit. That's for taking care of all of your municipal services for the 1 million people in the unincorporated Hillsborough out of the 1.6 million that live in the county. So right below it, 2 taxes down, we have our community investment tax. That's a 0.5%, half-cent sales tax. So we know that a half-cent sales tax, we'll round up, is worth $200 million. So we now know intuitively that a full cent sales tax in Hillsborough County is worth $400 million. So we need to be able to bring up our calculator here and calculate out how many times will 400 million go into 1.5 billion, because we need to know how many percent of sales tax we need to subsidize the property taxes, which I said there's already a model like this in place. I'm going to cover that in a second. So when you do 1.5 billion divided by 400 million, we know that a 3.75% sales tax in Hillsborough County government would fully subsidize your county-wide property tax and unincorporated property tax and ELAP property tax and library property tax a year. So why is that significant? Well, to understand that, we need to understand what the millage rate system is. So our millage rate is about 12 mills, which means that we charge you about $12 per $1,000 of value of your home in Hillsborough County. So I'm going to bring up a browser to demonstrate. Now that we know how many sales tax points we need, 3.75% is pretty low. And and that's something that I'm already feeling like looks pretty good. But of course, there's a lot of devils in the details. And again, in government, there are no solutions. There are only trade-offs. So I have a browser up here to demonstrate that in Hillsborough County, we have $419,000 median home price. They sold for $375,000. So we need to now calculate $375,000. I need to know how many thousands are in there, and I need to times that by the 12 mills. So about $4,500 per year in property taxes are what Hillsborough County government charges those in the unincorporated. The cities are going to be a little higher because the cities in Hillsborough County all average about above 6 mills for their MSTU, and Hillsborough County government in the unincorporated area only charges you about 4.3 mills for their MSTU. So the 1 million people and the rest of the businesses in unincorporated are charged less property taxes than those in the city. $4,500 a year is what you would potentially, on the average, be rebated or be abolished in Hillsborough County. Now, we all like smooth roads, well-timed stoplights, quick responses from well-trained firefighters and police officers. So even if you're much of a libertarian like me, you still have to find a funding source for it. What is the average household income in Hillsborough County? That number is now $7,500 for household income. So we need to figure out what percentage 4,500 is of the household median income. About 6% of your income right there would no longer be inescapable like property taxes are. That goes for the fixed income and low income people that feel the pressure the most. Everybody else feels the relief too. But spending staying the same of visitors and people at the register. And that is my last variable, is at the register, that no one ever discusses. Businesses are not protected by the Save Our Homes Act. Theirs can go up much higher per year on their assessed value and can be paying a significant amount more of these property taxes than a homeowner. So not only are you going to get the benefits of this on the front end of not having to pay this amount every year in property taxes, you are also going to eventually see a benefit at the registers because those property tax costs are no longer being passed through to you. Not to mention the fact that of the $1.5 billion a year that we brought up out of the budget here, 20% of that $1.5 billion, let me do that again, 1.5 It's just so many zeros. Again, it's hard for my fingers to type it because, again, it makes me physically nauseous to think about that for taxes. 1.5 billion subsidized by an estimated 20% is $300 million a year of your taxes that would no longer be forced from your homes and would be subsidized by travelers. Now, of course, again, no system is perfect, and there's tons of government waste and thrift spending that could be cut that I've been advocating for the past 2.5 years that I was elected, and will continue to advocate for over the rest of my term and potentially next term if the citizens are so gracious to reelect me. It's a huge number. So let's bring me back to my last point. I'm going to bring back up my browser here and show you the example that already exists today in Hillsborough County. I am on the Florida State Statutes website, 212.055, discretionary sales surge taxes. Okay, I'm going to come down here to Section 8 of 212.055 of the Florida State Statutes, called the Emergency Fire Rescue Services and Facility Surtax. I can only find one county that utilizes this right now, and they're a test example, small population sample. There's 6,700 people in this county, a small population sample of the state of Florida who evidently has already been doing it, that they are allowed to implement this sales surtax, which is eligible to be used for preventing and extinguishing fires, protecting and saving life and property from fires, fire rescue services, and their facilities, pre-hospital emergency medical treatment, which is, of course, an ambulance ride. And I'm going to come down here to subsection E, which reads, upon the surtax effect and initiation of collections, each local government entity receiving a share of surtax proceeds shall reduce the ad valorem surtax levy of any non-ad valorem assessment for fire control and emergency rescue services in its next and subsequent budgets by the estimated amount of revenue provided by the surtax, meaning that I must proportionally reduce your property taxes by the amount of sales taxes that were collected for that service. You could right now not abolish property taxes because of the state's constitution, and I hope that the governor can get that across the finish line. I think that it's innovative thinking. But in the meantime, it looks like they could put forward a municipal services sales tax taxing unit, which does not exist, option for you to put in place. It must say that you cannot increase your property taxes to be eligible to use this, but that if you do, you must proportionally decrease your next year's ad valorem taxes in proportion to the amount that that sales tax collects, therein by rebating your property taxes by travelers and by a user fee at the register rather than the current very regressive property tax model right now that says that you will never own your own property, but that you will rather permanently lease it from the government. If you watched this long, thank you so much for watching. God bless you, God bless America, and God bless the beautiful Sunshine State of Florida. Have a wonderful day on your journey to once and for all finally owning your own property.